All right, so as promised, I am going to show you a real quick video on how to make these German stars. There's something that kept coming up on my Instagram and my Pinterest, but I had a really hard time finding instructions to show how to make them. And I found that's because most instructions didn't have different colored paper. So I'm going to do my own quick video, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more clear than what's been put out there. So you can see you can do lots of fun colors. Different color combinations, and once you figure out how to do this, then you can do them in one color if you want to. But for now, I think it's really helpful to do them with multiple colors. All right, so the first thing you're going to need are 4 strips of paper. Now, it's important to have the right ratio. The ratio needs to be at least 1 to 24. So if it's, let's say, 1 centimeter wide, it should be at least 24 centimeters long. When you're first starting, I recommend doing more. So more like 1 to 30, if not 1 to 35. Also, when you're first learning, I highly recommend having paper that is 2 different colors on the front and the back, or at least having each strip be a different color. The reason why I like this paper is, as you can see, it's a different shade on the back. So the back is a pastel color and the front is a really saturated color. These are the little paper strips that they sell to make the little 3D 5-pointed stars. So you can just get them on Amazon or even at some bookstores. But this is going to be really good paper. So the first step is we have to cut each of these ends into little triangles. So what I recommend doing is lining up all the ends and then lining up the other end, putting them together, but don't crease them. Just putting them together like that. And with a simple pair of scissors, although I'm going to warn you, these are not the best scissors, just snipping it off into a little triangle point. Okay, and we're going to get those out of the way. Perfect. Now, the reason why I said when you line them up, don't crease it, is because I have found it's actually better to off-center them by maybe an inch or so, and then crease them, like so. But you can crease them in the middle. I just find in the end, this creates a more even tail for each piece, and then you're not struggling to make it work at the end. So the first step might be one of the trickiest steps. What you want to do is, with your longer tail on top, we need to weave these together. So the way that you do that, and mine are a little curly, so it can make it sometimes hard to do, but you'll still get the general idea, is we're going to have this one. We'll start with our yellow one, horizontal, and then we're going to take our next color and we're going to put it around our first one and pull it tight. Well, I guess not. We'll actually leave a little bit. Then we're going to take our next color and we're going to do the same thing again with the longer tail on top. We're going to put it underneath the pink and on top of the pink. And then we're going to take our last one again with the longer one on top. We're going to put that on either side of our teal, but then we're going to put it in between our yellow one. So I'm going to start by going underneath the teal and then just trying to put it in between the 2 pieces of the yellow one. And I'm going to do the same thing with the top tail. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. And then we're just going to pull it together tight. So it makes this kind of cool looking pinwheel. All right, so once you have them woven, what you want is your string that's longer to be on top. And we're going to fold them over so that we can recreate this weave. So we're going to take our top one and we're just going to fold it over. Then we're going to take our left one and we're going to fold that over. Make sure you keep everything lined up. We don't want overlap. Then we're going to take our bottom one and fold it over. And finally our right one and fold it over. And you'll see though, we have a problem, right? Our green has disappeared. We no longer have that full basket weave. So what we want to do is just take that last one and we're going to tuck it into that little green pocket. It helps to kind of pop it out a little bit so that you can just slide it through. And we're going to pull the teal tight, and then we're going to pop the green one down tight. And so then we have our weave on both sides. And you'll see, because we did make things slightly misaligned, they're actually pretty lined up here. Otherwise, you'd have a big tail. And that's not actually a problem, but when you're first learning, sometimes you start running out of tail, and that can make it really challenging. So, our first step, well, I should say our next step, is to create those little points on the outside. And the way that you're going to do that is to take your right side of your top tails and go around the back and to the right and line it up to your right tails. So it's backwards and to the right, and then forward and down, and it's going to create a little mirror point there. And then we're going to use that little center line to fold it over like so. And then what we're going to do is take this little tail and tuck it into this pocket. And the easiest way I've found to do that is to use one of your other fingers to gently pull that point down, and then take your tail and just slide it into that little pocket. Make sure you go nice and straight so that you have some tail to come out the other side. And then when it starts to crease like that, I just take my thumb and very gently push on it while I pull from the other side, and it'll pop right in. Bam. Then what I recommend doing is to rotate clockwise and repeat. Take our right tail, go backwards and to the right, crease. Then we're going to go forward and down, and crease. And we're going to fold those points over each other and give it a nice crease. And then we're going to pull back our top point, and we're just going to tuck the tail into the pocket directly below our point. I'm going to pull, and then we're going to just gently push and pull at the same time to pop it through. All right, backwards and to the right, forwards and down, flip it over, pull it back, and then we're just going to tuck it in. I'm going to push and pull. Nice. All right, rotate one more time. Now, this time it's going to help to take this tail from a previous one and just fold it so it's out of the way. And that way you have a good view of where you're working. So, I'm going to take our right side and go backwards and to the right. We're going to go forwards and down. I'm going to fold the whole thing in half. We're going to pull back our point, and we're going to tuck this tail right in there. Now mine's getting a little bit stuck, and this is where the pliers are helpful, because that way you can help straighten it out just a little bit. There we go, and helps keep it flatter while you're trying to fit it in there. I don't know about you, but my fingers are bigger than needle nose pliers. We're just going to push and pull, and voila, we got our first 4 points. So then we're going to flip the whole thing over, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, when you do this, make sure you don't grab both tails. If you want, you can fold it down so it's out of the way. I usually just try not to grab both. But we're going to go backwards and to the right, crease, forwards and down, crease, fold the whole thing in half and crease. And just like before, we're going to tuck it into that little pocket. The whole tail. There we go. And again, those pliers, bam, they can be very helpful. All right, we're just going to pull and push, pull and push. There we go. And then we're going to rotate it clockwise and do the same. Just grabbing the one, we're going to go backwards and to the right, forwards and down, fold the whole thing over, and we're going to tuck it in. I'm just going to pull and push. And that actually rotated us, so we're going to go backwards and to the right, forward and down, fold the whole thing in half, pull back our point. I don't know why I pulled those out already. And tuck it in the pocket. Oh, see, I guess I did need them. We're going to push and pull. Then we're going to get that first tail out of the way so we can finish our last one. So we're going to go backwards and to the right, forward and down, fold the whole thing in half, and then we're going to tuck it into that pocket. This is where the pliers are handy. You don't need a lot poking out in order to grab it then. We're going to do that quick little push and pull. Alrighty. And with that, we have our 4 little steps. Now, you can actually stop here if you'd like, and all you'd want to do is cut off your papers there. Okay? But what we're going to do is go 3-dimensional like this guy. So, in order to do that, I want you to kind of compare what we have here. Okay? So you can see these points are the opposite color or the opposite saturation of the ones next to them. And that seems kind of weird to say, but that's why it's so helpful to have the multicolored paper to really help us get a sense of what goes where. So, for example, this point is dark yellow, so we're going to have a light yellow point on this square. And the way that we do that is we can fold this up so that it exposes the same color as our point, or we can keep it down. But what we want to do is make a triangle. And we're going to make our triangle by folding the tail outward. So if you have it down, it's still going outward. And that's an important thing to remember. If you fold the wrong way, you're not going to get that point. So you're going to make your triangle by folding outward. And then you're going to take your tail and you're going to bring it all the way around and tuck it into this pocket. Now this is where it got tricky though with the videos that I was finding, is you couldn't tell which side was up. So I kept getting these flat pieces. So when you bring it around, you want the side that's already been exposed to be showing. And tuck it in. And this is where the pliers are very useful. You're just going to keep squishing it out very gently, pushing it through until it comes out the next point over. And then you can pull it a little bit tight, but not too tight, and it's going to create this beautiful little point here. Okay, now we're going to repeat that. So we'll do the pink one because it's next. We're going to make the triangle by folding outward, and then we're going to bring it around, and making sure that that same color is exposed, we're going to tuck it into the pocket. And again, the pliers are super helpful here. Just keep helping it through. Oops. Now, see this, I'm glad this happened because sometimes this does happen. Again, because I fold kind of tight, it can sometimes leave this to be a challenging step. So what we ultimately want to do is to get this paper to come out the other end. So sometimes what I have to do is kind of force it. Hopefully you will not find yourself in that situation, but if you do, you can see I'm just kind of smushing it in there. At this point, we're not going to have to worry about wrinkles at the end. And then there's an opening here from where we originally put our outside points, and you can put your pliers in there And in theory, you should be able to find the next paper over, although it doesn't seem to be coming out. So if we look in there, I can kind of see it. So I'm going to jam my pliers in there and try my best to grab a hold of it. Ah, and that's what happened. So my pink paper was not going in between the layers like it was supposed to. And that's good to know. So what we can do is we're going to take that and we're just going to kind of push it back in. Like so. And we're going to flatten it out just a little bit. We're going to tuck it in there. And I think I forgot to pull my flap over, which is why this didn't want to work. So we'll try this again. And you can already see it's coming out just the teeniest little bit, and then I can pull it. Ah, there we go. So it's a little bit wrinkled, but not bad. And this is why we practice. So, as you can see, that was my mistake. This green flap was down still. I must have missed it. So we're going to try it again with the green one, and hopefully it'll go smoother, right? So we're going to create our point by folding outwards. Then we're going to bring it around, and again, that same color is going to show, and we're going to tuck it in our flap. So good thing to do so you don't make the same mistake that I just did is these two should be the same color. And so you're putting it between the two layers, and that's what's going to make it come out between the layers of that point. So it's a good check. I'm glad I messed that up. We're going to do our final point. So this is tricky because I like to make sure it's completely flat, or as flat as I can get it. And we're going to fold this back by folding it outwards, and we're going to make our triangle. And then we're going to make sure that we have the same side folding up, and you can see it's going to go between those two yellow layers. Another benefit of using multiple colors. We're just going to push it through, grab the tail, and just pull. If you pull too hard, it's going to squish it and flatten it, so you just want to be very careful and gentle. Voila! Now we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. So I'm going to fold that out of the way so that we have our two yellow squares. Then we're going to fold our pink one back and out, or if you have it up, it's going to be forward and out. Just make sure you fold outwards. And then we're going to take our tail, make sure the same color is exposed, and we're going to slide it in between those two layers. And again, pliers are going to be helpful here because it just barely is pointing out, just barely, but there it is. Okay, so now we're going to do the yellow one, and like I said before, these two have to be the same colors. That means I almost forgot my tail again. Phew. All right, so we're going to fold it outwards to make that triangle. And we're going to bring it around so the same dark color is exposed. And we're going to use our little pliers to push it out so it's going to come out between those layers. So this was the initial problem that I was talking about. So what I can do is just kind of open this up very gently, and it exposes that paper in there, and that way I can yank it the rest of the way through. We're going to get our tail out of the way so they match. Then we're going to take our teal tail, make a triangle by folding outwards, and try and line everything up as good as you can, or as precisely as you can. And then same color matching, we're going to put it in that pocket and help it through. Ah, nice. Pull it out until it makes that perfect little point. And our last side, we're going to make our triangle by folding outward. We're going to rotate it so the same top color is showing. And we're going to tuck it in that pocket, and we're just going to keep pushing it through, and we can pull that out. All right, so look at how close we are. Now you're probably wondering, what do you do with all that extra? This is my favorite part because it's so simple. You just cut it off. So make sure you have some nice, clean, sharp scissors. And what I recommend doing is just doing the right one. And that way you can get a nice, clean cut. So you want to get as close as possible. Just snip, rotate it. Snip, rotate. Snip, rotate. Oh, that one wasn't very close, was it? So it's okay. You just go back in and give it another snip. Rotate, and then we're going to give this last one, our troublemaker, a snip. And then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. I like to do it like this because it gives you a good viewpoint of where you're cutting. I feel like you're a little bit less likely to miscut. Okay, and then we got more confetti that we can just put off to the side. And there you go. Voila. German stars. The great thing about these then is you can string them up by putting a needle through the little pocket there. And you can line them all up and make a nice chain of them. Or you could just have them in a dish. There's really no limit to what you can do with these. So have fun. Hopefully this video wasn't too confusing. Hopefully all the colors are gonna help you out. And hopefully you won't go through the same struggles that I did trying to figure this out. Thank you.